Hey everyone, welcome to today's video, and in today's video we're going to take a look at how to set up a minimap. Now this type of minimap is not going to be suitable for every game, but I'm hopeful that it will be suitable for the majority. Now I'm going to label this video as part 5 of my racing game, how to set up a racing game type series. Even though I have not released part 4 yet, I ran into some issues with how to record that. But I'm not going to get into that. This is going to be labelled as part 5 because it's an addition to that sort of video series. This video was actually requested from the Discord server. If you want to join, the link's down below. Effectively, we've got one of my members, I think it's Lifting Titan, so shout out to you, has requested how to do this, and this is just a video from that request. He's making like a Lego Racer style game. It looks really neat. He's sharing some information about that in the server. So if you're interested in that, or you want to request a video or get some help, please consider joining. Like I said, the link's down below. But I'll just give you a quick demo of what we're going to be looking at. So if you can see in the top right hand corner here, we've got this overview of the map. And it's fully equipped with a marker for the car. It shows you the start line and all of the checkpoints, and it is dynamic, so as we're driving around and this checkpoint disappears, they're also going to disappear from the map. The way that it's built, it's very selective, so you can pick exactly what things you want to be visible. You can have absolutely everything visible, or you can limit it to only certain classes or actors. So for example, here you can see that the grey floor in between the track isn't visible, which is a feature request, but you can have this however you like. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. Okay, let's get started. So things we need to consider is how we're going to do it. So the way I've decided to go about it is effectively, if a minimap is kind of like a top-down view of the area that you're in your game. Now, whether you decide to capture the entire area of your game to have a sort of like a... It depends on the size of your game, to be honest. If you've got an open world game, you're not going to want the entire game on your map. You're just going to want like a region of it, or you want it to follow your player. But obviously, with this being a smaller game, a racetrack, we can capture all of it with one scene. So that's ideal for this scenario. Because it's been requested like that, that's what I'm going to go about doing it. Now, obviously, to sort of get all of this area, effectively, just looking top down on it like this through a camera view would be enough. We just need to find a way of turning it from sort of like a camera view to sort of like a filtered out 2D view, so we're only getting the racetrack and some other elements, sort of like the checkpoints and the car itself and some other bits that we might want to display on the minimap, but we don't want sort of like the grey background and some, you know, other things that might be in your game. So what we're going to do is we're just going to chuck in a scene capture 2D. So to do that, just quickly add it from the quick add menu, and here there isn't a search bar, but you can actually search. So just type in scene. Maybe don't hover over a menu bar, but scene, spell it right. Scene capture 2D. So we're going to add that, and that just chucks a scene capture 2D camera in your view. Now, if you're lucky, for some reason mine has just decided to be silly. If you're lucky, when you click on this, you should get a little 2D window and it will show you what it's seeing. If you don't, just follow along as I do. But if you do have that window, then this bit's going to be a little bit easier for you. What we're going to do is we're going to hit E, go into rotate mode, rotate it round by 90 degrees so it's pointing down. And I'm just going to rotate it again on the Y on the Z, sorry, to make it level. What I need to do then is go into top view, and we're going to go to the move tool, and I just want to center it over my racetrack. So I'm going to pop that up, get it about center. I mean, it doesn't need to be perfect, but the closer to center, it'll have a better effect. So I'm centering it on the X and Y there as best as you can. I mean, arguably you could just type in 0, 0. That should be the center if you've made your game centered. But if not, just try and center it over your racetrack. So I've actually lost my camera now. So scene capture 2D. I'm going to go back into perspective mode, and mine has defaulted to sort of like 8,000 high. So I'm just going to do around 8,000 high, so we're all working on the same page, just so we don't get slightly different results. So 8,000, and it's pointing straight down. So what we need to do now is we need to be able to capture that output, and because we're using a scene capture 2D, because it's 2D, it has the effect, the ability to output sort of like a 2D image of it. This is outputted as a texture, which is really nice because then we can use it for the user interface and other things. If you want to, you can project what this camera sees onto any surface. It doesn't actually matter, but the good news is that we can do that. So with the camera selected, in the right, you've got your details panel, and if you scroll down to scene capture, you'll see this box, texture target. At the moment, it's set up to be none. We just need to make one, so we're going to click none, and we're just going to click render target at the top, and that'll create a new asset. So it'll bring up the prompt. I'm going to call mine minimap render target. Okay, so that's created it, and you can see pretty much straight away that the thumbnail has sort of give you some indication of what's going on here. It's actually capturing our track, so you can see that. Now, obviously, we need to change the zoom factor and stuff like that, but one other thing I want to show you is, at the moment, it's kind of badly picking up the shadow. I don't know if you can see that flickering there on the video. But it's actually picking up depth. Now, a minimap doesn't usually have depth. You might want it to, but I don't. I want it to be a nice flat image. I want it to remove all depth and it just be completely as basic as possible. So I'm just going to keep this window open because this is going to be my sort of what is the camera seeing panel. And in the background here, I'm just going to change the projection type of my camera from perspective to orthographic. And obviously that's changed things because of the orthographic width. So I'm just going to bump this up. And I don't know if you can tell, but let's see if I can. It's kind of made this sort of triangle area, this ramp, flat now. The shadow's gone. Because it's took that perspective view. There is no shadows anymore. It's just flat, which is really nice. I'm just going to bump this up, and I think I want to include my entire map. So maybe 25,000 might be the magic number. So 25,000 works for me. So you just keep increasing that or decreasing it until it sort of is capturing your entire racetrack or your scene. And that's pretty much that setup. So what we've got now is we've got this texture, which is displaying what our camera's showing. Now, a texture is useful because we can put it in other places. So we'll save that for now. We don't need to change any other settings, so we'll close that. I'm confident it's capturing the area I want to display, so that's cool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into a material, which will make it a bit easier to use and adjust if we want to. So I'm going to go to materials, create a new material, and I'm going to call this mini map render material. It's pretty hard to type with a microphone in the way of the keyboard. So minimap render material. I'm going to open that up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this render target in here, and it should import as a texture as a texture sample. So to continue, what we need to do is just click on the material node itself, and we just need to change this because at the moment it's outputting as a surface type, and we don't want to do that. We want to change the material domain to user interface because that's where it's going to go. It's going to go on our user HUD, our interface. So at the moment it's just black. and we're going to plug the RGB into the final colour. And we've now got a material which is basically our racetrack, our map, which is neat. So we'll hit save, and that's pretty much it for the material. We will come back at the end when we need to sort of like make some adjustments to filter out backgrounds and stuff like that. But for the most part, we can close that. Okay, so let's actually get this onto our user interface. So I'm going to go to my blueprints, and I've already got a heads-up display set up. So for my game, this obviously shows me my checkpoints and my lap times and stuff like that. So to get the minimap to display, what we're going to do is we're going to add an image. So I've got this in my common, add an image. Now I'm going to make it square, so let's change the size to something nice like 250, oh, not 25, 250 by 250. And let's see how that looks. So I can increase it. I'm just going to try and fill that space there, so 300 by 300. I'm going to change the anchor to the top right hand corner. I'm going to set my position to 0, 0. Now obviously that sent it off the screen, but I'm going to change my alignment on the X to, or is that the Y? Which one? So that is the X, to 1. And that's going to flip it. And that's pretty much it, to be fair. So now what we want to do, with this brush, with this image selected, you want to select brush. Under brush you'll see image, and you can pick. Now if you've named yours minimap, type in mini, and you'll see both your render target and your render material. Go for your material because we can adjust the material in the material editor, the node editor, if you want to make changes to it. If you're not going to make any changes, technically you could use the render target, but again, you with the material you're getting the flexibility of making adjustments to it. So select that, and you can see that has just worked straight away. It's really simple. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press play, and look at that, you've got a minimap effectively. Now obviously this is just a direct camera recording of the scene, so although my car is on there, it's just this little tiny thing. Now this might be suitable for you. This might be good enough straight away. There's just a tiny little glint of where your car is, but obviously once you've got several cars in there, it's probably going to be tough. So let's make that car a little bit easier to see. So I'm going to keep my UI open because are we going to make changes to it? I'm going to close it because we might not make changes to it. So let's go to the sports car. So for me, in my blueprint, I've got vehicle template because that's the sort of Unreal template that I use, the vehicle template. Blueprint, sports car, and then I'm using the sports car pawn. So just open that up. Now, really what we want to do is we want to make this more visible. Now, typically on minimaps, your character is indicated by an arrow, a marker, a spot, something like that. Something that's distinct to you. We're going to do the same. So in your component view, we're going to add, and I'm going to look for sprite. Sprites are just light 2D images. So Paper Sprite is what we're going to pick. We'll just put minimap indicator, something like that. Minimap indicator. And we need a source sprite. So I don't have one. So let's create a new sprite asset. So click new. I'm going to be as terrible as usual and not put it in a folder, but please organize your stuff properly. So I'm going to put player indicator sprite, just like that. Now I'm going to click this magnifying glass and browse to it. I'm then going to open it up. So now you need a sprite. You need something that's going to be distinct. Whether you just draw a circle in paint, however, ideally you probably want the background to be transparent. You just need something. Now, you could just do what I did and just Google arrows with transparent backgrounds and just steal one off the internet. I didn't mean steal. I mean, go to a website that offers them for free with no copyright restrictions. That's what I meant. And you should have hundreds of things to pick from. Just look for transparent background, sprites, coins, arrows, whatever. And just pick something up. So if I open that up, you can see it's just an arrow with a transparent background. This is perfect for me. It's a bit big, but we can resize it. Go to your player indicator sprite. We're going to say the source texture is now going to be arrow for me. So arrow, clip art. So for me, that's absolutely fine. I'm going to hit save. Come back. Go back to my sports car, and you can see that that sprite is now updated. We've got a giant red arrow on the screen. I'm just going to rotate it to make it sort of viewable from a top-down perspective. So I'm going to rotate, come on, I'm going to rotate 90 degrees on the X, and I'm just going to spin it around to match the direction of the car. And then again, finally, I'm just going to lift it above the car. It doesn't actually need to be above the, well, it does need to be above the car, but it doesn't need to be really up, but just put it above the car. So with it being above the car, now obviously when we play the game, we do not want to see a giant red arrow on the screen. That's terrible. So what we can do is, with the arrow selected, scroll down until you see the render menu, so rendering. And if you drop down this little advanced bit here, there is an option to say owner no see. So that means because we're the owner of it, we can't see it, but everybody else can. Which I've just thought of a downside to that, which you might want to have it high up in the air. But I'll try and think of a way around that. I'm thinking on a multiplayer game, you'll see arrows around everybody's head. But I'll think of a way around that. So compile, and if you hit play now, you can't see the arrow, but on the minimap you can see this big red arrow driving around the game. Now it's not actually big enough for me. I want it to be a bit bigger. So I'm going to lock the scale and hit 2. I'm going to double that up. So there we go. Now my arrow's absolutely huge on that minimap, but I can definitely tell where I am in the game. So that's that ticked off. I will come back to the fact that on a multiplayer game, that's probably going to be visible. There'll be a simple way around it, but I'm not going to drag this video out by figuring it out now. I might pause the video at the end and just stick it on the end, but we'll see how it goes. So we can now see it. What's next? So at this point, we should probably look at filtering out what the camera can and can't see. So for some of you, that might be enough, having the whole thing projected onto your sort of screen. That might be fine. But for those who only want the racetrack and some checkpoints and maybe just the racetrack, this bit's for you. So with your scene capture 2D component selected, we're going to need to convert this to a blueprint, because we're going to need to run some code behind the scenes to tell it what to see and what not to see. So with it selected, in your details panel, next to the add button, you can click convert this actor into a reusable blueprint. Click on that. Do not change anything on the classes, but give it an appropriate name. So I'm going to call this minimap camera. Hit select. So that's just popped up as a blueprint. So I'm just going to pin this to the top now because it's getting rather annoying. I'm having them in Windows. So this is our camera. We don't need to change anything. Now there is a chance that when you open this up, it might come up as a list. There'll just be a little button at the top that says open as a blueprint, and then you'll get the same view as me. Right, changes that we need to make. So an actual neat thing with these cameras is, if we scroll down, has it changed it? Has it changed it? It has changed, but I'm going to show you. If I just quickly add in a new scene capture 2D, a really neat feature with these cameras is if you can see here, with this camera selected, hidden actors and show only actors. So what you can do is, with the render mode set to use show only list, you can click on these and say, I only want my racetrack and I want this checkpoint. And then your camera should only display those. Now, it doesn't work as well as I want it to from this menu, but we can do it in the blueprint behind the scenes and just make it as exactly how we want. So I'm going to remove all the elements, change this back to, oh no, I'm just going to delete this camera because it's a spur. Let's go back to our minimap camera and we're going to use that feature. So for some reason it's not in the menu now, we've turned it into a blueprint, but it doesn't really matter. So in the event graph, what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the tick and we're going to do a get all actors of class. Now we need a list of classes. Now I've done this a couple of ways and I think the class way is better. When I just showed you that example, you had to literally click, I want this checkpoint, I want this map, I want that checkpoint. You'd have to add every single thing. That can be quite tiring. Hoping that your checkpoints and your bushes and sort of like your street lights and your start lines and stuff like that are going to be of the same classes. I think if we do, if we add these by the class, then we only say anything that's a checkpoint class, I want to see all of them. Anything that's a street light class, I want to see all of them. You get the point. Rather than saying street light 1, street light 2, street light 3, street light 500, I want all of them because that'll be really tiring. And I'm a bit lazy, so any way we can do it a bit quicker, the better. So I'm going to add a variable. I'm going to call it show actors classes. Or I guess instead of show, we should change that to visible. Visible actor classes. Yep. And what we're going to do is we're going to change it to an object type, actor, and then class reference. If you right click on this as well, it'll change it to an array. Alternatively, you can select it and just come up to the top and say array. What we're going to do, hit compile. And at the moment, there's nothing in it, but what we're going to do is change it to instance editable expose on spawn. Hit compile just so then that's in effect. Drag this out, get visible actor classes, and then plug this into here. Why is it not letting me? All get up. Why won't that let me do that? Actors of class. Oh, I see. For each. Missing something obvious. So for each. So for everything in this array, get a class. Plug that into this array. We're going to loop through those. So everything we've selected, we're going to loop through it and then get all the actors of that class. And then we'll add these to our visibility list. But before we continue, let's just go back to our map. In your outliner, either type in minimap and get your minimap camera. And then what we can do is scroll up. And you can see now under default, unless you've given it a category, under default, you've got this visible actor classes. Press add. And we want, what's our racetrack? It's going to be a spline, landscape spline actor. Yep. So you can click on that and just check. So landscape spline actor. My checkpoints, I want to add those. So minimap camera, add another array item. So visible actors. I want checkpoint. So I want a checkpoint. So every checkpoint Not checkpoint 1, not checkpoint 2, every checkpoint, anything that's of class checkpoint, I want it. I want a start line. Now, bear in mind that from this area, we can only select things that are loaded onto the map. So if anything is spawned in at runtime, you won't be able to access it. So for example, our vehicle, when we press play, that's the time when it's spawned. So I can't actually search for it. So if I go here and type in vehicle or V8, you know, I can only see the stuff that's currently loaded. So the map, the game mode, and my controller, but my actual vehicle itself's not there. Type in sport. Oh, spell it right. Sport. Oh, actually my sports car is there, so I'll select that. So that's neat. So at the moment, that's all I really want. My car, my start line, my checkpoints, and my spline, my racetrack. So that's cool. So we're going to go back. So all of them classes have now been loaded into this. We're going to loop through each of those classes and then find every actor in my game that is assigned to those classes. So here we're going to get... so this is get actor of class. I knew something was wrong. Get all actors of class. Change that. So the reason I changed that is because the other one was a single instance, where this is going to give me an array with every checkpoint, every start line, every race car, but it's going to output as another array. So we're going to need to loop through those. So for each of those, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our capture component 2D, and we're going to say show only actor components, and it's asking us what actor do you want to see. So for each of these, so every time we loop through this, we're going to say show my car, show my start line, show checkpoint 1, show checkpoint 2, show checkpoint 3, and you get the point. It's going to go through every one of the classes that we've specified, find all the actors that are assigned to those classes or are of those class types, loop through and tell the camera, you can look at this, you can look at this. So anything that's not in that list isn't going to be visible. So if I've done this correctly and I press play, we should have only the things we've asked to see on our minimap. Perfect. So all I can see is the racetrack, the car, and the checkpoints. Everything else has disappeared. However, it has left us with this nasty black background. Again, that might be something you want, but I don't want that. I want to remove the black area that is basically just a void that the camera can't see. So I just have my racetrack. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to that minimap render material. And this is why it was a benefit adding it to a material, because now I need to make a change to what it's seeing. Now, what we can do is you can mask out areas. Effectively, you can tell it, I don't want to see this part, I don't want to see this part. And an easy way to do that is to say, I don't want to see this colour. Now, you can't pick the colour, but you can work it off black and white. Show the white area, don't show the black area. But to be able to do that, we need to change the sort of blend mode of this material, because as you can see, the opacity mask is grayed out. It's not actually a feature because we don't have opacity at the moment. So over on the left, we've got blend mode, and currently it's set to opaque. Simply change it to masked, and you'll see that the opacity mask is now available. Now, if you connect this straight to your alpha, this screen goes black, but it's not actually black in reality. It's difficult to explain, so I'll just show you. If I press play, it's actually masked out everything but black. So I need to invert this and do the opposite of that. So what you can do is in between your alpha and your opacity mask, you do a 1 minus node. Effectively, this just times it by a negative and does the opposite. Hit save. Once that's saved and applied, go back to your game, hit play, and there you should have it. So now you've got a mini-map that follows doesn't follow your car, but follows the sort of game and updates because it's just a camera. It's just a camera. So I hope that was simple enough. Some tweaks that you could make is, obviously, we've now got this mini-map camera. Let's say I wanted it to follow my car. What you could do is go to your vehicle template, blueprints, and sports car. Open that up. And you could add the 2D scene camera here, and it'll follow your car around. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to see if I can add in the camera. What is it? It's something like actor, blueprint, actor, something like that. Child actor. Let's see if I can do this. Child actor I want to add is going to be minimap camera. Open up my viewport, find my child, move this up, rotate this around. This is going to be fun. Let's set the height, which, because I've rotated it, is really weird. Let's set my height to something like minus 8,000. Maybe 8. Yeah, let's try it. Minus 8,000. Hit compile. I'm actually going to go back to my map and find my minimap camera and delete it. Hit play. And nothing happens. Probably because I've killed the camera. Oh, go back to the car. Child actor. And let's see what we've got here. Child actor to spawn is that. So I'm not getting the same settings that I'd expect. For some reason, under default, visible actors class, that's now blank. Components, scene components. So I need to actually go back to here and see what we need. The render target, scene capture, under scene capture. Let's go back. Default component, scene capture, transform. No, rendering. No, physics. No. Well, I'll say that this way is slightly harder, so I'm going to get rid of that. Add scene capture. 2D component. I'm going to pull that up. I'm going to rotate it. Pull that around like that. That's fine. What have we got here for the height? Let's change that to 8,000. Because we've added this directly now, we should be able to get this target texture. So now we can pick our minimap render. Hit compile. Hit play, see what that looks like. So what I've got now is I've got a scene capture which is now following my car. You could attach this to a first person template. You could attach this to a third person game. Doesn't really matter. Bear with me a sec. I haven't recorded a video for a while and I keep getting such a dry throat. I have to keep drinking water. I guess that's a sign that I need to keep making videos. Truth is, I've got a little bit lazy. So, a couple of things we need to change. Obviously, now we need to change it back to orthographic. We probably need to change that ortho size, maybe not to 2,500 to the entire map's visible, but maybe like 1,500, and we'll see what that looks like. Wow, that's terrible. Let's go back and find our render target. Let's pull this out so we can see what it looks like, and let's change this orthographic view. It was 25,000, wasn't it? So let's change it to something like 15,000. Yeah, I like that. Compile that, play it. So that already looks pretty cool. And because we've set it to ortho, it's not getting that weird. It kind of looked like the map was 3D, and it was like it was sort of bending like that. That's now not a problem. So effectively, you just need to repeat the previous steps if you want to remove the background. We can cheat a little bit. Let's close that. Go to the actual camera that we've already made. Copy all of these bits and pieces. Go back to the sports car. Go back to the event graph. And under your event begin play, we're going to paste. Drop this in. Now, when you hit compile, this is going to complain this doesn't exist. So what you can do is remove your capture component to D from here, drag in your scene component, that'll work fine. And if you right click, not on the text but on the bubble around it, you can click create variable, hit compile. The thing is, you're going to need to add things to this list. Now this is where it gets a little bit complicated, to be honest, because you can't add stuff while you're in here. Oh, you can now. Never mind, I'm talking rubbish. Let's add in our components. Give me a bit more space. So let's go for checkpoint. Add spline, landscape spline actor. Add pawn. Let's have a look. Pawn, sports car pawn. Start line. Checkpoints, landscape. I think that's pretty much it. Hit compile. And we need to tell it to only show those. Yep. Hit play. So there we go. We've got pretty much the same thing, but a zoomed in version that actually follows your camera now. So that's pretty cool. Yep. So that works exactly how I expect. I think that's pretty much it, to be honest. And it has gone dark, hasn't it? Let's just turn my light on. So hi, up close and personal. So that's pretty much it. Now, obviously, I did mention about the sprite might be visible to other people. I'm not going to promise anything. I'm gonna pause it in just a sec, but I am going to say goodbye in case it doesn't work out. I will get back. I will come back to it. I'm not going to give up on it altogether. I just don't want this video to turn into an hour long, just for a mini map. But yeah, if this helped, consider giving me a like. Pop a comment down below as well if you want, just to give me your appreciation. Or if it doesn't work out, let me know in the comments. I dare say, if you want a really quick response, join the Discord server. I'm pretty much always active. I've got it on my phone, so I can't really miss a message. Unless I'm at work, I probably won't respond to you whilst I'm at work. But most of the time, I will try and respond. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to pause the video now and try and fix this. If I don't, I'll see you in another video, I guess. Thanks for watching. Okay, so I think I found a solution. Now, my game's not made for multiplayer, so when I go to put a second car in, I get loads of errors because this was not built for multiplayer in mind. However, I think it's as simple as just ticking this box. So with your minimap indicator selected, obviously we came in here earlier to check the owner no see, so you can't see it yourself. However, there is another tick box just a little bit lower that is visible in scene capture only. So I think that should exclude it from your view and your sort of the other players' views as well. And it should only be picked up by the scene capture camera, which is following your player or is giving you your minimap. You'll have to let me know if that is right. You'll probably find out before I've set up a second template. I'll probably rely on your responses to let me know if that worked or not. But hopefully that is it. So again, thanks for watching. I'll see you in Discord, lifting Titan. And yeah, see you in another one.